We're going to cover the rest of the information functions. They are almost all but one is functions. These functions are testing to whether a condition exists and generating a result of either true or false. So the information functions that begin with is, with the exception of one, the last one, are testing the content of the reference cell for certain aspects and generating a result of either true or false. The first one is blank. Seems pretty obvious. If the cell's blank, I can see that it's blank, but that's not necessarily the case. Equal is blank tab. I'm going to reference cell D5, control enter. The function tells me the cell's not blank. It looks blank, but it's actually got a blank character space in the cell. So the isBlank function allows you to visually display when there is nothing in fact in the cell, or when there's content in the cell that you can't see, like a blank character space. The next three, the isErr, isError, and isNA, test the cell for error messages. The first one, isErr, checks to see whether a value is generating an error message, which includes all of the error messages except for NA, not available. The next one, isError, checks for all of the error messages, including not available, NA. And then the third one in this group, of course, checks for the not available error message. These three functions used to be used in conjunction with the if function, where you could test for an error and instead of having that error displayed, show another result, like nothing in the cell. But since 2007, the ifError function has been available, which allows you to hide or mask error messages in a lot more effective way. The next one is number. Again, I can see whether it's a number or not, can I? Well, not necessarily, because that looks like a number, and it's false because it's actually a text string. But what is a number is a date, which is true because there's a serial number associated with each date. The isEven function will resolve to true if the number in the cell referenced is divisible by 2, or it's 0, or it's a date that is divisible by 2. That apparently is not, but the 2nd of January is. The isOdd function will resolve to true if the number is not divisible by 2, like 1. The isText function is similar to the isNumber function in that sometimes it's misleading as to what the content actually is in the cell. This looks like the number 52. When I control enter, it's actually not because it's a text string. Those two functions, and particularly this one, the isText function, are real useful for determining what your data is. When you get data imported from a source, many times you'll have numbers and text mixed up on the same column that all look like numbers. This is a way to determine if that content actually is a number or it's text. Non-text includes everything that is not text, including blank cells, so that's true. If it's a logical, it's still true. If it's a number, of course, it's still true. But if it's a text string, that function generates a false result. IsLogical has to do with, is the content either true or false? And isReference will generate a value of true if the reference is valid. So equal isRef, I'll put ZZZ1, control enter, and that's false. It's a big spreadsheet, it's a big worksheet, but ZZZ1 is not a valid reference. The other thing that this isRef function is good for is to determine whether a range still exists or not. I'm going to input my range. That's false, but if I create a range that's my range, enter, that's now true. That's a valid reference. You can use this as a test in a formula so that if the range doesn't exist anymore because it's been deleted, your formula knows this and can generate a result consistent with the fact that the range doesn't exist anymore. And the last information function, the end function, allows you to input a comment into your formulas. So I'm going to put a simple formula into the cell, equal 5 plus 6, control enter, of course that's 11, F2 to get into edit mode, plus N, tab, quotes, give myself a couple spaces, put a comment in there, close the parentheses, control enter, and my formula shows my comment, but this doesn't detract from the formula's ability to generate the result that it would without the comment. 5 plus 6 is 11, that's what shows in the worksheet, but this is a way to annotate your functions and formulas if they're sort of complex or you want to leave a note behind for yourself or somebody else so that you can explain what the heck it is you're doing in some of your elaborate functions and formulas. This is a way to do it. So those are the rest of the information functions. The information functions allow you to test the content in a cell and ask the question, is it a certain type of content, for which the function will answer either true or false. This allows you to test the data in terms of whether it's actually values or text, and these functions can be utilized within other logical functions like if, and, or to construct dynamic and intelligent formulas. And lastly, the end function allows you to annotate your formulas.